Hello and welcome to All My Art and Soul. I'm Michelle Holden, and I was just showing you an image of last week's page, but this week we are going to continue with these geometric shapes and value, and it's exploring value and composition number 15. So as usual, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you're enjoying this content. And let's begin. So I usually start the page with using my brayer, sometimes horizontally, sometimes vertically, with any paint left over from the previous page. So you can see I'm choosing to veil it or just push it back with a very thin layer of white acrylic paint. This type of paint is on the chalky side, which works for this purpose. And I think I end up putting a little bit more on here, but using the hexagon geometric shapes. And they're mostly central, but I really like having the variety of values in the background, no matter what color it is. The values can be, light, dark, mid-tone. And I'm learning how to use this stencil. Sometimes it depends on the paint. I find this white paint isn't as thick, and I know from a subscriber, thanks for the tip, the thicker the paint, the crisper the edge it leaves with your stencil. So I'll just keep experimenting with that. And so I'm sort of liking that now. And now I'm bringing in, I really liked, this was a ghost print. The ghost print is the second print you make after you lift off the stencil of your jelly print plate and with a paper, and that's what you get, the black part. And then I went over it with a brayer with some leftover cadmium or Hansa yellow and some golden nickel azo gold. And I really liked the effect. So I've been thinking about echoing different shapes in different types of layers throughout the piece. So I have hexagons in the white, veiling the background, pushing it back, and now I'm bringing that same shape black on white. And then I'm going to echo it again with a piece of collage paper, which is sort of the central focal point of this page. And I think that's a pretty cool idea. I've been sort of working on this, and I'm going to keep on doing this a little bit, quite a bit more, with different shapes. I sort of wanted them to match, but I didn't want them to be exact. And it doesn't really matter. So I'm just applying the glue, and I know I'm lining up that side pretty, that matches, but I like how it doesn't match the other side. It doesn't really matter, but I'm really liking the echoing of the yellow and the nice orange. And so I just let it dry before I continue. And this page went along pretty quickly, but there was some just pauses in between to let it dry. Sometimes I like to use my hair dryer if I want to just keep it going and not lose the flow. Other times, you just take a break. So with my trusty piece of cardboard, corrugated cardboard, I chose to use white because I guess I was going for subtlety rather than contrast here. And then, of course, a difference would be the vertical lines. And you can see I've used my finger, different brushes, and there's the Titan buff and the yellow. And that's how it got on the brayer, and I just rolled it across. So now I'm using the yellow oxide, and I'm glad. I wasn't really happy with it just pure. I wanted to echo some of that yellow that's above that reddish shape. They almost look like a mountain in the background, even though they're not, but they could be. It depends how you interpret this piece. And of course, I'm using the nice bright orange, and there's my nickel azo that I'm going to use, I think, very sparingly through this piece because there's lots already there. And so now I'm looking for another difference, something to anchor it. So I did put the yellow oxide on the bottom, and it just wasn't deep. It needed to be black. So then I'm going to almost do that, and I'm so glad I didn't, because then you can just sort of get carried away if you're not paying attention, if you're not present. That's okay. If I would have put the black there, who knows? I could let it dry and put the gray back over it again. It doesn't really matter. And I like how I use the end of the brush just to scrape through so you can see different tones underneath that black. And that's the deli paper again. For these lines, I use the fan brush, but not a watercolor brush. It was more the bristle fan brush. And I find when you add a little water to your acrylic, it thins it out, and then it really picks up on the bristles of the brush and creates really thin lines. So I just wanted that feeling of energy. So I used, of course, the pottery tool, and I'm so glad, and that's one thing with the brayer. If you don't like your shape or the texture, you can roll across it depending on how many passes you make, and you never know. But once you get used to knowing what it can do, you can predict, just sort of, but surprises are always better. So this is another piece, again, of the deli paper that's so nice and thin with just pure nickel azo gold with brushstrokes, just random brushstrokes on there. Now I'm sitting it there, and that's what I'll do. I'm starting to feel how some of you viewers might feel like, no, don't put it there, don't cover it up, when I'm watching myself. It's sort of hilarious. And so I'm so glad. So just to say, I don't put it there, which is good, because, I don't know, I'm just sitting it there. I don't know. Then I got focused on something else, these big black lines, and so I put them to the side. I know they're going to go in the upper area somewhere, so I finally focus on that part of the page and put them where they need to go. So again, those are some more ghost prints just on copy paper, newsprint paper, anything you have around. And I know that I've said this before, the newsprint paper, I love how it ages. So I'm going to start using that more. So, yay. So I finally put it up high enough because I didn't want those hexagon shapes being covered up. And I know in the past I've covered up things that I do regret covering up, and we have all done it. But in the heat of the moment, that's just how our intuition is working. So there we go. Nice. So of course, I'm going to go over it again. This is the heavy gloss medium. And then I'm going to trim that edge that's going past the tape with my X-Acto knife. I'll reach for that in a minute. Yes. Okay. Nice. So what other kinds of tools do you use to make black lines? Leave a comment below, and maybe we can share some more tools. And if you really want to share, and if you're following this work, maybe doing your own pages as we go along, don't forget to hop on over to my Facebook group. And there's a lot of interesting things happening there now. The links will be in the description. So as you can see, I love this piece because it had the similar marks, but not the same. Similar marks on it, like the oval black shapes. And I'm not liking, see how your eye stays there? Because it went past the edge, so it needed to be removed. It tore a little bit, but I think it worked out, and it was a more natural edge. And as you can see, I'll float these pieces around until they find a home, until I hear a yes. No, yes. This one, I'm not sure now, but in the end, it works out. See, it needs something up there. Maybe just a white piece of what is this, whatever this deli paper is, or any kind of translucent paper where you can see the black lines underneath. That's what's so interesting. Now, I don't know. More little dots would have made this too busy. As you can see, I put those to the side and finally realized that no, we don't need any more of those. And it's amazing how the page will let you know. And I'm really liking where that little yellow one is. Didn't really add to it, so it wasn't really necessary. And that's the thing that we start paying attention to. Maybe not during the page, but after we spin out, we can pay attention to those little subtle details. So I don't know why I decided to make one more layer. Maybe I just wanted to push those back more, but I'm really glad I chose, again, something totally different. Short, broken, vertical lines. And that's another Stencil Girl stencil. So it's really interesting. Now, the collage piece that's in the middle with the geometric, with the hexagons, could have looked good with torn edges as well as these hard, crisp edges, the clean edges, now that I'm looking at it. So again, the Posca markers, just adding that little bit of subtlety or energy, bringing out a tone or a value that's already there. And I'm glad I stopped at one line. And I'm glad I used the yellow because I really wish I put more of that yellow in there. But this works. And adding a little bit of yellow to the bottom, trying to treat the whole piece as one. 3 different areas, 5 different areas. Now, I'm not sure, I guess I love circles, dots, different sizes. So what I noticed when I was sitting there looking at these, the contrast was too high. So then I come back in with some Titan Buff and start to see that, oh yeah, that is better. But then I come in with one more layer of, I think, the yellow oxide, just to tone it down a little bit more. And in hindsight, I think I would have moved those dots further down inside the yellow oxide horizontal line, but they're there. And now we're coming to the big reveal, a removal of the tape. This page was gessoed, so the tape is much easier to remove. And I'm really liking the clean edges of this one. So I'm just sort of pondering, is it done while I'm writing? And I'm trying to decide, was it shape or value? And I think I end up writing shape and composition. So it's the areas of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7-ish. So those odd numbers. So as I try to remember the date, which I always have trouble when I'm in the middle of something, don't forget to like and subscribe and share. And here is a close-up of the centerpiece, and I will see you in the next video.